Guys, if I don't forget, I'm going to put this review video on Canvas. All right. Guys, notice this must be completed before the end of class. Guys, there's not many problems. If you've been paying attention to stuff, you shouldn't have any trouble finishing it. All right. So, guys, with the graphing part, you can use Desmos on it. Okay. So I'm going to do. I'll just do the one with the fraction for you. Okay. So, so if I pull up Desmos. All right, so I'm going to type my equation in. Now, like I said, I'm doing number one, so guys, I did look at the test yesterday. There is no area problems, like where you have to find the area of a rectangle and you got to find the dimensions and stuff. There's none of those. And there's no consecutive integers. Now, the consecutive integers, I'm pretty sure there will be a couple of those on the EOC, but we did go over them, but I did not see any of them on the test, so that's actually a good thing. All right, so now, so I'll put my equation in. Guys, you can I just go ahead and put y equals in front of it just as, because everything really needs a y in front of it, but I mean, it's just a good habit to get into. Now, guys, remember, the Desmos by default will identify your vertex, your y-intercepts, and your x-intercepts, okay? So now, so looking at this, it's saying that my vertex is 2, 4, okay? Remember, vertex is lowest or highest point, okay? So now, my vertex is 2, 4. All right. Now, guys, to get, because on the test, well, you won't have to, but to get the points for this graph, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the Edit List menu. You're going to duplicate it. And on the bottom equation, you're going to convert the table. Now, if guys remember, your vertex was 2, 4. You already got a couple points here already. Okay. We need some in the other direction. All right. So, guys, what I want is a I want 5 points on the graph. Okay. With one of them being the vertex. One has to be the vertex. So 1 is vertex. Okay. Now, guys, this is a high point assignment, by the way. So make sure you do, not only just don't rush through it to try to finish it. Make sure you put the right answers. Okay. All right. So 2, 4. All right. Now, when x is 3, it's 4.5. And when x is 4, it is 6. So there's 2 points in the positive direction. Then I'm going to do 2 in the negative direction. So 1, 4.5, and 0, 6. And guys, what you don't realize is you've actually have answered 2 problems. You've already answered, you've got your equation, okay, or you got your graph. You also have found the y-intercept. So, guys, what's the y-intercept in this graph? 6, right? It's where, guys, the y-intercept is where the parabola crosses the x-axis, or your function crosses the x-axis. So that is your y-intercept. So if you want to go ahead and write that down, your y-intercept is 0, 6. Okay. So, guys, I got that straight off because remember, a y-intercept is where it crosses or where it touches the y-axis, okay? And that was, all right, so guys, right now, I think we're good with Desmos. Now, guys, make sure you know what these parts are because you will have to label them on the test, all right? All right, so now, Guys, my vertex is 2, 4. Guys, that is my vertex. Oh. That's my vertex, okay? It's just the lowest or highest point. Now, guys, on the test, it'll ask you what is the highest point of a parabola, what is the lowest point of a parabola. Those questions is going to be their minimum maximum questions. The vertex is going to be something that you label, okay? You're going to be labeling the vertex. The minimum maximum will be the ones that's the words, okay? They'll be asking you in words, not in graph. All right. Okay, axis of symmetry. Does anybody remember what that is? It's really easy to find.
You just plug the plug the 2 in.
Right. So all it is, guys, doing it on Desmos is it is x equals. Guys, make sure you put x equals. Okay, it has to be x equals on there. It is the x value of the vertex. Well, the x value of the vertex is this number right here, 2. So there's 2 of your answers. A vertex, axis of symmetry. Now, guys, make sure you remember this because I did see a question like this on the test. What is the domain of all quadratic equations? All real numbers. So make sure you remember that. Hey, Josh, there's a review sheet over there, bud. All real numbers. You can put negative infinity to positive infinity, but all real numbers is fine. All right, now, range. Now, guys, remember, domain deals with your x values, okay? So that means your range deals with the y values, okay? Now, so I know that my range is going to have 2 things in it. It's going to have a y value, okay? It's going to have a y in it. And it's going to have a number. Where do I get that number that goes here?
4.
It's 4, right? It's the y value of the vertex. So in your range, it's y and the y value of the vertex.
So range is always y.
It is. Y. It's always y and y value of the vertex. Leave you a little bit of space because you're going to have to put an inequality here. Okay? Now, guys, if you remember, if it opens up, if your parabola opens up, it's greater than or equal to, right? And if it opens down, it is less than or equal to. Did y'all vaguely remember that? Okay, so in this case, the range is y values greater than or equal to 4. And guys, we mentioned the y-intercept is 0, 6, okay? So, guys, if you think about it, that's everything you need, okay? So that's vertex, axis of symmetry, domain, range, and the y-intercept, okay? Hey, dude, put that phone up, man. You can't have that phone out. All right? Now, guys, remember, you have to, I'm going to let you do the rest of these, okay? Now, remember, you have to know how to factor by hand on the calculator inactive part. So we're going to talk about that. All right, now, guys, we're going to talk about factoring and solving because we're doing that both here because you're really doing the same thing anyway. Okay, now, before I factor this, I've got to get it in standard form, and this has to equal what? 0. So, guys, to get it equal to 0, I'm going to add 36 to make that become 0. Negative 36 plus 36 is 0. Okay. All right, now, guys, here's one of the important parts. Make sure when you rewrite this, it is in standard form, which means your quad terms up front, your linear terms in the middle, and your constants on the right. Okay. All right. What's the value of my A? What's my A value here? 1, right? I'm not talking about the A variable. I'm talking about the number in front of my quad term, my coefficient of my quad term. It is 1 because it isn't showing anything. So guys, remember, if it's 1, it's very straightforward to factor. All right. Somebody tell me what goes up in the front of my parentheses. Your variable, right? Now, guys, looking at my signs, does anybody remember what this, if my signs are plus plus, what are they going to be here? Plus plus, good. And guys, remember the reason that is, the two numbers got to multiply to give you this C value. With that being a positive number and it's got to multiply, it's got to have the same signs. A positive and a positive, or negative and a negative when you multiply. Well, in order to get a positive number when we add or subtract, it had to be positive. All right? Now, I need two numbers that does what to give me this number? Multiply. All right? Then it's got to do what to give me this number? Add or subtract, right? So now, thinking about 36, just finding us some factors here. Okay? Well, if you do 4 and 9, 4 plus 9 is what? 13. 13, so that's not my middle number, so it's 6 and 6. Now, guys, I do want to talk about this particular problem because it will come back later as you go through Math 2 and things. Guys, does everybody notice that these binomials are the same, right? A plus 6, A plus 6. What that means is this has a double root. And what that means is I can write it, I think Madeline said, you can write it as this. Right? You can write it, because A plus 6 times A plus 6 is the same as A plus 6 squared. Okay? But guys, if I set this equal to 0, how many roots am I going to have? How many different roots am I going to have? Just one, right? Guys, if you have the same binomial, that means you're going to have a single number. That is called a double root. Okay? Also, when you get on up into Math 3, it talks about it has a multiplicity of 2, which means it's just a fancy way of saying that both roots are the same number. Okay? But that is called a double root. When the binomials are the same, ends up getting one. You end up getting one solution. And guys, the main thing that I see with factoring is make sure you get it equal to 0, and that you put it in standard form. Okay. Guys, does anybody know what this will look like in standard form? Number 6.
A squared minus 4b minus 5.
Perfect. Because the reason why, guys, we had to get this right side equal to 0. To make this 5, 0, I had to subtract it from both sides. To make this 0, I had to subtract it, which means I had to subtract it from both sides. Now, guys, on this left side, can I write it any way I want to? No, it's got to be in standard form. Quad term, linear term, constant. It's got to be written in that form, in that order. Okay? It's not being picky. It just has to be written that way. All right? Okay. So, guys, mostly this whole test is because the only thing you use to solve in Math 1 is factoring. You'll learn more of that in Math 2. All right, so looking at the right side of your sheet, now, guys, remember, If you have the keyword ground, what are you looking for as far as your graph goes?
X-intercept.
That's your x-intercept. Now, guys, I'm gonna let you do these, but that is your x-intercept. It's your x-intercept. Now, guys, notice that B and C has the word maximum in it, so that means what part of the problem am I looking for? Vertex. If you see the word maximum, you're doing something with the vertex. Well, guys, notice that this is how long, so they're asking a time. If you remember on these projectile motion problems, the time is always the x value, always, every time. And your actual height of the object is the y. So you know this is going to be the x value of your vertex. The answer to B, this is going to be the y value of the vertex, which is C. Now, guys, looking at this one, because you'll have to answer one like this for 14. Guys, what was with this being a toy rocket, what was the initial height of the rocket? And how do I find it?
120 feet.
What was it?
128.
All right, so now let's think about that. Y'all saying 128. Now, guys, remember, in this right here, this is your gravity constant. Guys, it's not going to ask you anything about that. Okay, it's your gravity constant. All right?
Is it not 170? Because it's per second.
This is your velocity, right? This is how fast it's going. So your linear term is how fast it's going. Your C value, if I don't have one, what's my C value? 0. Guys, remember, the C value is actually your initial height. So the initial height of this rocket would be what? 0. So it was shot from sea level, or whatever you want to say, or from the ground. If you see 0 on there, it just means it's been shot from the ground. It hasn't been shot from a cliff or anything like that. Now, guys, this guy jumping off the cliff, did he jump off at sea level? No. He's actually got some height to this problem. Okay? All right. So, guys, I'm going to let you work on this. Guys, make sure, I feel like I'm pretty confident if you know how to do this stuff, you shouldn't have any problem with the test. Okay? There is one question on there, guys, and write this down somewhere. It's very, very easy to do. I don't know why they put it on here because vertex form is not in Math 1 curriculum, but it's on the test. All right? Write this down. First of all, write the word vertex form. Okay? And this is all we're going to do with this. We're not doing it because this is not part of Math 1. Vertex form is y equals, now this is its generic form, a times x. And I'll explain what these letters mean, okay?
Why think I have more letters? Why think I have more letters?
I know it. You'll know here in a sec. Now, guys, notice x and y is being used. These values are always in your equation. Okay. Now, what this and this mean, h and k, those are the numbers of your vertex. So, guys, where the vertex is x and y, but guys, x and y has already been used. They used h and k for your vertex. So, guys, make sure you write this down. The vertex in the vertex in vertex form, it's always the opposite of the h value. That's the x value. And the k value. So the k value is the y value of the vertex. The opposite of h, whatever h is, the opposite of that is the x value of the vertex. So say, for instance, and that's all you need to do. You don't need to know what a and all that stuff is, which is not hard, but you don't need to know what it is. So say I have this. Say I have a vertex form question like this. All right. Guys, in my problem, what's the H value?
-3.
-3. What is the K value? -2. Now, guys, listen to me. The H and the K are your vertex. Now, guys, remember, in the vertex, it's the opposite of the H and the K. So if it's the opposite of the H, what is your actual X value of the vertex?
3.
+3, right? Because it's opposite of that. And then, of course, the Y value is what?
2.
-2. So, guys, and there's only one question on there like that. It's a really easy question if you just know how to read vertex form. Okay? And, guys, I don't think... trying to think if there's on... Make sure you know how to... I think there's one question on there. Make sure you know how to factor when A is not 1. All right? And if you need me to do one of those a little bit later, I will. Okay? All right, so guys, I'm going to